of the time, and then yeah, if it gets personal or stuff gets shared and you don't want it to be posted to YouTube, that's fine. I just think that there's some good stuff here, mostly for everybody and the wider audience. So if you don't want this being publicly posted, just send me a message either during or after. That's totally fine. Um, but it's just good essay knowledge. But I like to do little intros with everybody, right? Just introduce yourself, what you're working on. And let's go around the horn. So let's start with Steph, then Christina, then Leslie, then Taylor, uh, Maura, and then Courtney. So go for it, Steph.
Goodness, I don't know why I started to feel anxiety. I felt like I was about to present to a big group, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize I would still feel like this. But hi guys, I'm Steph. I just moved to New York City from Miami a couple months ago. So I'm kind of in the process of restarting my life, and I'm working on building a business. It's an e-commerce business, and I kind of feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm here. Just I feel like it's cool to connect with like-minded people and kind of learn from you guys, your experience as I kind of go on this journey.
Nice. Christina, what you got?
Okay, so I'm also in the process of starting a business and kind of new to all this too. Um, got out of a marriage this year, so I'm transitioning. And the business that I'd like to start is actually Reiki and human design. So
I love that.
Sick. Leslie?
Hi, I'm Leslie. I am a women's health and fitness coach, and I'm just working on growing my business.
Tay Tay? You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Wait, I'm on mute.
Or you were. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, no, I was probably whispering it, chewing you out. My name's Taylor. I have a real estate business, loan processing business, and property management down here. I'm new. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm in Florida, like the Destin area, the Panhandle, Lower Alabama. There's a couple of you former Floridians. Why'd you guys leave? We can wait till later to ask that, but sorry.
You're
That's
good.
all.
Nice hat. I like it.
Me?
Orange hat.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's up? Hi guys, I'm Mara. Obviously I've met a couple of you before, but Steph, I'm from Miami too. I knew it as soon as you started talking. I was like, she's from Miami.
Why? Is it that obvious?
Yeah, for sure. Where'd you go to high school?
Well, I grew up in Broward County in Weston, but no
Okay.
one knows where that is. So I say Florida and I'm like, yeah, just Miami, because for people like South Florida is like all Miami.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was
Cool.
living in Brickell for the last like 7 years.
Okay, sweet. That's so awesome. I love it. Just like these connections. But yeah, I'm Mara, and my favorite fruit is bananas, and I am a sober curious lifestyle coach. And yeah, here to learn.
Yeah. Courtney, what's up? Welcome. You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my dogs are all squeaking their balls all night, so um thank you. I have a little cold, so sorry. Courtney, I live in Oklahoma. What am I working on? Finding my authentic voice really for my business and trying to figure out how to talk about it because it's very esoteric and very broad. So yeah, first call, we'll just see how it goes. Thanks.
What's your business?
Okay, so I offer manual therapy as a massage therapist. So that's a variety of modalities. I offer energy healing. Um, I have shamanic medicine training. So I do a variety of things like that, cord cuttings, decouplings, yada yada. I also help people and animals because that's the big thing. It's for both humans and animals. Just their physical body well-being, so nutrition. But I've found, if you guys haven't heard of Germanic New Medicine, is a really big key component. It combines physical elements with your emotional body and ties things back. So I help people through that. Um, so it's a large variety of things. I also work construction. when I'm not doing my business. So woo.
That's sick.
Badass.
You say
That's a lot of cool
Germanic?
stuff.
Yeah. Did you say Germanic new medicine?
New Germanic Medicine by Dr. Hammer. Or Germanic New Medicine, I think is actually, I get it flipped. I think if you learngnm.com, you can go there and it starts the website. It's been absolutely phenomenal. I have helped myself through a variety of things really quickly. Prime example, I know exactly why I have this cold. And it's because I spent all day Monday and Tuesday basically at work in 10-degree weather, which we're not used to here in Oklahoma. Going, this really sucks. This really sucks. This is really shitty. And I
So you did
basically
it to
just gave myself
yourself.
cold. Yes. It's all mental. If I was like, oh, I love this. This is great. I'm thriving.
You would have been fine.
Nope. Yeah. I totally did it myself and I knew I was doing it, but sometimes I like to play my own experiments too.
That's awesome. All right. Yeah, I just found a couple links about that. So it sounds like we're mostly going to be business focused tonight, which I think is great during this time of year. I think the winter time is the best time to like hunker down and really make forward moves on your business. I'm going to share a couple books. One of my favorite books is The 12-Week Year, which is fantastic. And hand up if you've read it before, but it basically collapses all the things that you would try and do in a year into these like 12-week sprints. Because if you commit to a new habit or a new hobby for like 2 or 3 months, it's pretty awesome. And I think that helps me like schedule out my next 3 months instead of trying to be like, okay, by the end of the year, I want to be able to accomplish this, because you can get way off track if you don't keep yourself on track every couple of months, right? Mara, I'm sure it's crazy for you if you just have people commit to like being sober for a week or a day, and then maybe 2 weeks, right? You start to just kind of like build upon these really good habits. So that book is super awesome. Courtney, for you, I don't know if you've ever read Advanced Energy Anatomy or listened to it. I think it's only available on Audible, but I'm gonna put that in here. Couple great books. I love Carolyn Miss. She's like my favorite author. I've listened to that book like 5 times. I think the first 30 minutes of that book will absolutely change everybody's life, whether or not they're spiritual or religious. I think that is one of my absolute favorite books of all time. But let's talk about specific business questions. I just got done re-editing both of my websites over the past week, and I'm super burnt out on that. But what is stopping you guys in your business right now? Like, what issues, what questions do you have in specific of like ideation, products, services, selling, marketing, social media? I don't think TikTok will be banned on the 19th. I think they would have to do a lot of legwork, and you'd be hearing that in the news by now. But we all use TikTok a lot. And if it does get shut down, my question for you is, what would you move to if it was? How would you market? Instagram?
I think it would be,
Yeah, I already have an Instagram, so I probably wouldn't use that.
Mm-hmm. What you got, Steph?
I think it would be Instagram and YouTube. I think YouTube
Yeah.
is making a comeback specifically because of the shorts.
Mm-hmm. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Where do you guys do most of your business now? Is it Instagram or TikTok?
Well, right now I only have an Instagram. I haven't launched, but I kind of just wanted to first get my name and then start to establish some sort of presence.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell people a little bit more about your business?
So I'm about to sell a laser hair removal device. Oh my gosh, let me actually show you. Wait, I have it right here. It's just so cool. Okay, so I've been working on this for 1.5 years, and it's frustrating that it's taken so long. So it comes in a box, and basically what I'm looking for is to do this all by myself, because I've been working with this person that has helped me outsource, find the people, everything to customize everything. And he is setting me up with my Amazon storefront and Shopify. So then it's taken a while, and my goal is to be able to do this by myself. So It's so cute. This is it. It's for laser hair removal. And I did like the whole branding and everything, created the whole like brand story, because at the end of the day, I feel like when you're selling a product, people can buy the same thing anywhere. You have to sell to their emotions. So I've been working on building a story, or I already have the storyline, the whole brand, the whole mission, the vision, like exactly how I want to tap into people's emotions to buy my product. Because long term, I want to build a beauty brand, a beauty line out of this. So right now, Amazon just received the inventory, and I want to sell out with Amazon through the person that I'm working with, and then redo it all myself. I don't care if, well, it's not that I don't care, but my main focus is not to just be on Amazon. I want to kind of branch out and keep it through Shopify, through its own website, and then eventually like build that whole line through it. So yeah, I've rambled. I got excited.
Awesome. Yeah, those are challenging things. I think I have specific things for you on our one-on-ones, unless anybody has manufacturing stuff with products in Amazon. Does anyone have any experience there? Okay.
I have a little bit. I'm experimenting with a new supplier. I'll let you know after he goes to the first like cheaper product. I just started doing the drop shipping separately from everything else. I might not have told you that this morning, Cam, sorry. So yeah, no, I was taking away stuff off of my plate, and then but this was a lot easier, and I spent like maybe an hour or two a day on it. But I've got a new supplier, so I'm working with him, and if he's good, I'll send you the info, but I'm not gonna send you the info if it's somebody that's trash. What kind of manufacturer do you need?
I mean, right now I'm working with the suppliers from China. So
Okay.
I had a couple different options on the specific model that I wanted. And then based on my customizations, like we just went with that specific manufacturer and they did everything.
Okay.
Exactly who it is.
Okay. I forgot this guy's name. It's saved on a whole nother like window in my laptop. I'll message him and ask him how they do that, because my stuff is usually just like, hey, this is a product I want off of wherever I found it, remake it. So
Okay.
I might have someone. I don't know. If he's good, I'll have someone. I just referred somebody last week to someone that was really bad, so I'm so nervous on handing out information and being like, oh, it's not my
Mhm.
fault.
Yeah, I like that. So tagging onto that, maybe we'll be able to answer this question, but how can I effectively share my personal story in a way that not only inspires me, but also encourages deeper engagement and transformation for my audience? So this is coming from the male perspective. And I keep hammering my male clients. I'm like, you guys, I'm drowning on these group calls, right? I need some other male perspective. I don't just want to give you mine. I want these group calls to be like supportive of everyone and not just me giving my 2 cents, but I can go off on tangents. But I think authenticity. I am so drawn to brands that are just authentic. Today I had my business partner and my tattoo artist come over for a photo shoot. And we have another guy who is like joining our team, going to be doing outreach. And like we practiced shooting content for both Hawaii Fi and SFL, and it came out awesome. We started shooting videos. We went to my CrossFit gym, and I've been doing so much product research over the past couple of years for SFL stuff, so I can speak on the nutrients and how it affects the body and the effects and things to worry about. And it was very natural. I feel authenticity has been a big thing for me over these past couple of years. But brands that are authentic are very easy for me to get behind, whether it's an owner or it's a coach or someone just telling their story. Because my BS detector, I think women have a better BS detector. But how often have you seen somebody pushing something that just is not authentic? You can tell right, right? Does that turn you on or turn you off to the product?
Off immediately
Okay, why?
Can't trust him.
because
Right.
it's
Trust him.
cheesy. Yeah, there's no trust.
Mm-hmm. Leslie, your content is super authentic. I think you're 110% doing the right thing, right? It's just every time you make a video, you're just putting another piece of rice in the bucket. At some point, there's a great book on this called The Tipping Point, but it's going to tip in your favor. Doesn't mean that you quit, but I think that authenticity and consistency, that's it. I think that's it. So Steph, you with your product, you using it yourself, you telling people why you made it, right? Why did you make it?
Well, it was a good opportunity to start a business in something that I had the knowledge in, and having experienced like the whole process of laser hair removal, like as a woman growing up like with hair, it's like, damn, that was always something that was holding me back. It was always like a layer of something not just on top of my body, but on my confidence. So for me, I was like, this not only is going to like do something effective, it's also going to make you feel better. And that's what I want. Like, I just want to make people feel better.
Right. 100%. So now we're getting back into the emotional versus the logical part. Selling is emotional.
Yeah.
How many, show of hands, how many times have you bought something because it emotionally pulled you? Right. It's the number one reason why we fucking buy stuff. No one ever goes, well, I think that's really going to be a great addition to my house. And I'm going to get that because it logically makes sense, unless you need it. Right. So selling is 90% emotional, 10% logical, which is why you always have the buyer's remorse after, because your brain starts to be like, oh shit, well, do we really need that? Do I really need to spend $100 on TikTok shop for random Chinese shit?
Yeah.
Not shitting on you, but like it's always emotional. So authenticity, emotional, and consistency, I think those are your three answers right there. I don't think you can go wrong over time with that. So you'll refine stuff. And when I work with more business oriented people, I'm like, automate, optimize, and delegate. I think I said that to you this morning, Taylor, but like that's my fucking recipe. If I can automate something, I'm going to automate something. If I can optimize something, I'm going to optimize it. And if I fucking hate doing it or I can delegate it, I'm going to delegate that task so that I don't have to do it or somebody else can handle it. Okay. And that I think is a great solution. The other tool that I use is just the 1-3-1 method. One of my pet peeves is when people will be like, oh, there's a problem here. This doesn't look right. Right. Or can you fix that? I'm like, no, I'm the execution guy. I want you to identify the one problem, give me 3 potential solutions, and then the one that you recommend and why. Just that, right? That is a much better way to solve problems when you're dealing with somebody who just likes to point out problems. Okay. Fun fact, it doesn't work out well in relationships. So just be curious about where you use that. Okay.
Is there a story
Let me
behind
write
that?
that down.
Wait, what's up?
Is there a story behind that? I dropped a book link from Amazon. It's Stories That Stick. And I used to make, there's another older version of this. I used to make all my sales reps read this. I used to coach and develop sales teams for AT&T and Comcast for like 19 years. So knowing how to identify, like, I mean, if you need to sell one-to-one, I can tell you facial features, the way people's inflections, how you can tell immediately if someone's buying or they're walking away. But knowing what your story is, like I would even go into like the design of it, how much time it took you to get to that design, because that alone shows me that you took the time and effort to value that product. And what I mean, if you were having it at $350, like, all right, well, what job do I got to work to make $350 so I can get a laser hair removal? Talking about your confidence, you're very gorgeous and you look like you have all the confidence, but saying, hey, I struggle with my confidence and this is what helped me get it back, that's going to close your deal immediately. Because it just shows it, because we all, I mean, as women, we struggle with our confidence in certain areas and you're going to tap into that niche immediately. But selling with a story will close a deal faster than anything else. I used to make my reps on Fridays tell me a story throughout their day of the struggle they heard, and then reformat it as saying like, oh, my grandma did this and this is why she bought this product, because it wasn't their direct story. Most of them were like in their early 20s and never had experience with home phones or internet or whatever we were selling at the time. But being able to sell a story to paint the picture, that's going to close it every single time. Because non-authentic products, like the AI ones that are on TikTok, and I feel like we watch QVC more often than anything. I just scroll past them because I'm like, this is just another computer generated thing. But if it's an actual person, like a crazy looking mom, like mopping the floor, I'm like, hey, I can relate with her. I mean, I don't even have my laundry done.
Girl, same.
But
You guys are
yeah,
seeing
I moved my office into my room because I was like, I just give up on going upstairs. It's just all right here. I roll out of bed and get them at my desk. But those authentic stories are just getting real with people. I think we've gotten so far from that people are missing it. I'm in an area that I moved out here and didn't know anybody. I'm up against some of the largest property management companies in the country. And I've got more sales in the last month and a half just with a tiny little business from them, because it's just being straightforward, honest. And half the time I'm like, hey, I'm with my kid, I'll call you tomorrow. Like, just straight up with people about what's going on and why we created this company. And I can't tell you, 2 people signed a contract yesterday. I'm like, you didn't even read it. They're like, yeah, we'll just trust you. I'm like, I barely talked to you for 5. Are you sure you're okay? Like, I'm glad you did, but I'm like, wait, is this real? But no, it goes back to Cam's point of being authentic. I mean, why did you guys all watch him on TikTok if that's where you found him? He's just real and doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
I mean, he doesn't care about the videos. He does care.
Right. But like, Steph, I think I saw a video before this call, like you made a TikTok with like a bunch of fast forwarding, like getting dressed up for the cold. And that was like, I was like, how do you even make a video like that? I put 0 effort into my videos, right? It's me waking up for coffee, having a good idea or jotting down notes and trying to like coherently say something. And sometimes I hit, sometimes I don't, but like I don't worry about the ultimate success, right? Because at least I'm being authentic to me, which goes into your second question about like refining your brand voice and message. A year ago, when I started my TikTok, they were like garbage in the very beginning. They were garbage for like 6 months. I still make garbage stuff sometimes, but like over time, right, you get better. That's where the consistency part comes in. You're not going to nail it your first time. You're not going to get the branding right the first time. My business partner is making me redesign SFL for the 3rd fucking time, and that's all work that I have to do that I'm not thrilled about, but different skill sets. So like you understanding what it is that you're good at, and then understanding that you're going to inevitably suck at something in the very beginning, the first website that you build, or the first Instagram post, or first video that you make, first podcast that you do, it's going to be trash. It's okay. Right. But as long as you build on that over time and accept that you're going to suck at something, whatever. If you went to a Muay Thai class right now or a Jiu-Jitsu class, you'd probably be not the best. Right. But if you go for 3 or 4 years, people are going to be afraid of you. Right. Same thing with consistency, everything you do. So don't be afraid to start. And if you stop, get back on the horse. You're going to have an off day. It's fine. We all have it. But expanding, what else you say? Staying authentic while expanding your influence and reaching a broader audience across different platforms. Taylor, you're well suited for this. How would you say that you've expanded your influence across multiple platforms?
Know your demographic that you're trying to target on those platforms. Facebook is geared towards the 35 and up crowd. And if your product's meant for that crowd, it's not just the 35 and up, it's 35 up. Women are usually on it midday to mid-afternoon, some in the evening. Men are usually on it in the evening or super early in the morning, actually usually just the evening. The younger, anybody under 30 is really not on there. They're on Instagram. I don't do I mean, my Instagram stuff is very much just auto-generated, but I post from Facebook over because that's where the majority of my buyers and sellers are going to come from. Real estate's my core business. All of my people that are booking come from Facebook. TikTok is starting to get some traction because my dad's 62. He's learning how to use it, like sending me videos. And I've gotten 2 leads off of there, mostly because I'm just being honest about how stupid people are in this industry. But that's it, and that's the demographic. So I'm aiming for the baby boomers and the generation just before me, because those are people getting ready to sell and buy again, or buying the second home luxury world. So just knowing your demographic and what that demographic uses most of. Most of my friends are really just stuck on Instagram. They think TikTok's silly. They think it's for the younger kids. We're 40, so it's not like we're super old. But and then, yeah, Facebook's kind of covering all of them. I don't get on X. I don't like X. It just seems like a whole lot of reading for nothing.
Oh, it's fun.
It seems like a lot. Well, I have a mouth on me, so I know if I get on there, I'll just be starting drama with everybody. So I'd just rather not and just stick with what I know.
Do I live under a rock? What is X?
Twitter.
Twitter.
Oh,
Yeah, it's I kept calling Twitter. The guy at work yesterday, who's very young, was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I
Like,
do live under a rock.
grow up.
Okay, sick.
There's some stuff I wish I didn't know about all this. I do have subscriptions on Snapchat because I get a lot of people to add me on there. asking inappropriate stuff, I'll be like, here, click this for my content, and it goes straight to my real estate page, which then I get more clicks, which push it higher on Google. And I always put something really stupid, especially if I'm at the gym, and I'll be like, I'll wink real quick and then put it on there and say, here, click here. You just got to know your demographic and then lead them to your site. And it's not, and I know nobody from Snapchat's going to call me for real estate. And if they do, they're probably for inappropriate reasons. But because they click on my other sites, that helps boost the algorithm to show that people are going to my site.
Yeah.
And don't be worried about what people say on the internet or causing, I'm always so worried about somebody posting something and getting in trouble or getting canceled or whatever, or having a bunch of people say, be upset with me. Don't worry, there's going to be somebody like 30 minutes later that's going to say something worse and take the attention off of you. It goes away real fast, in most cases. So just throw it out there. And I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is nobody responds. But yeah, just know your demographic, where you're trying to aim towards, and Facebook groups actually are even better than the standard Facebook feed. Like joining the random little groups. I'm in too many for vacation rentals because that's my niche. And I get more stuff from those direct groups because it's like narrowed down than anywhere else.
I have a question about that.
Mhm.
So I recently launched a dry January challenge, and I had that idea to go into a couple Facebook groups, and like I posted in there, and it was like Charleston friends, women friends, or whatever, and I just said, anyone want to do dry January with me? And then I had like 6 people comment like, oh, I'm doing it, like da da da, and I was like, oh, cool. Like I commented on each one like personally and was like, that's awesome. Like if you're interested, I'm hosting a challenge. Like, would you be down? And literally not one person like reached out or said anything about it. And I was like, that's just interesting because I don't know. I felt like I was being genuine. But I'm just curious, what have you found that works?
So most people, when you're directly commenting like that, they'll be like, if it's in the same moment that they put something on there, they'll respond right then. But think about people's lives and how fast we get information now and how quick our attention gets taken away. So one of the key things I learned when I first got into outside sales, gosh, back in 2012, my business coach then had said, it is not their job to remember what you do. It is your job to remind them what you do, and it is not annoying to the right person. If somebody thinks it's annoying and doesn't want to follow you,
They're
F them
not-
and move on, because there's 30,000 other people that do want to work with you. And it's not about not caring what people, it's not being inauthentic with that. That is just making sure that you're doing this as a business. You're doing this to earn someone's business. Don't waste your time and energy and money chasing a lead that's not going to do anything for you. I had a lender earlier this week. He's like, oh, I saw you giving out all these. I get a ton of leads now, and I will just hand them out. I share them with everybody. I have actually a partner I do a lot of my listings with, because I can't keep up with the volume that I've got coming in. And a lender got really upset when I referred him. I'm like, Andy, I'm gonna be straight with you, and you're not gonna like me after this, but it's a business, not a charity. What have you given me in the last 12 months? What have you given me in the last 30 days? Nothing. So I'm giving you nothing. So step up to the plate and come help me, and ride with me, or get the F out of my way because I'm going to run you over. And you have to be like that in business, because I guarantee everybody else is going to be right like that with you. So don't waste your time on somebody that might not respond. But when they do comment, I go into their DMs and I will leave my phone number or an easier way, or say, hey, is it okay to talk here on my phone? Like, what do you prefer? And then, because some people will comment that and then they get real nervous because it's a group. It's like being nervous on here. So just try and take it offline, or give them other options on how to contact you. And then I set it up for every 3 and 5 days. So it rotates how often I'm contacting someone. I just put it in my calendar. Go back to Facebook, check this group, you talk to X, Y, and Z, and put that like in my little calendar notes. So I remember just to pop in there, say something real fast, and dip out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, reaching out to them individually, like sending them a DM. And then I kind of like get in my head because I'm like, oh God, it feels so salesy and a little bit obnoxious. Because I do prefer to connect with people who happen to find my Instagram, or it's like a friend of a client who's already, and then it feels more organic and there's already like a built-in connection. But yeah, it doesn't hurt. Like I'm not afraid to do that, but it's good to just hear that you've done that before and stuff, and just a nice reminder to do that.
I can tell you 2 years ago before this, I was horrible at networking. I would get to a networking event and completely freeze up in my car to where I would want to throw up, and I'd be there for a full 45 minutes talking myself to get out of the car and into the building. There's been twice I left there crying because I knew I had to be there for work, but I just couldn't do it. And then there's one day my son, he's 17 now, but he looks at me and he's like, it's just like being in kindergarten, Mom. You just go up and say, hi, my name's Taylor. Do you want to go play? I'm like, I'm not asking people if they want to play, but I will talk to them. And started slowly doing that. I'm now up for some awards on networking because tonight we went to a real quick event. I was trying to show him how to network now that he's got his own little side gig going. I said, look, I purposely do a 30-minute time. I look for 2 people I don't know, look for the hosts of the event, make sure I get a picture with them, a picture with one other person, and it's 30 minutes in and out. Because a lot of these networking events is built around alcohol and eating stuff that I promised myself I wouldn't eat in January. So it was like, okay, I've got a mission. I'm going in. I need 2 names that I don't know. I'm handing out my business card to 2 people, hugging, high-fiving, whatever, and then getting out of Dodge. But same with like on Facebook in those groups. We all know how nasty social media can get, especially in a group. If you say something wrong, pull them off to the side. It's just like finding this person that's like the wallflower saying, hey, how you doing? And you're the only person tapping them on the shoulder. And if they don't respond, sometimes I have a friend, it took her like 4 months to get I kept saying, yeah, I'll call you. I'll go to lunch with you. I'm so glad I did this week because we finally connected over she sells cleaning products. So I was very excited because the cleaning products are amazing. But it took her quite a few times and finally, and it was always in the group setting. But when she texted me separately, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll have this conversation here. So,
Totally.
and all that it wasn't me blowing her off. It's just, I get so busy that I think I respond and I don't. So, and I think that's the biggest issue in society is that it's just, we're so busy. We have so much in our faces all the time. I mean, if you shop at Bath and Body Works, how many advertisements do they send you a day? Like 5. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they're so popular is because they literally send you 5 emails. If you have their app, the notifications are going off. And I think I finally quit them this year. But it's persistence and people get nervous to talk to new people.
Yeah, I think like I will still consider them as leads because I can still reach out to them and be like, hey, how did dry January go for you? Like, and use that, like leverage it and yeah, see where it goes.
Tell your story about what you're struggling with. Like say, hey, like, this is my second dry. I don't know how many dry Januaries you've had, but second time, my first one, I really struggled at this point. I had a friend, I told Cam this morning, she had the fasting app and I've been trying to research it, but I don't really want to just not eat for 3 days. It doesn't sound fun, but she kept posting her struggles and then how it felt a few hours later when she just pushed through it. And I was like, oh, and I know this girl. I'm like, she hasn't been saying anything. If she does this, I can definitely do this. And that's going to push. So that's really going to push. I mean, if you do that, like, hey, like, this is how it's going for me. And this is my pitfall or whatever it is. People will relate when people are open and vulnerable about their pitfalls and how much they've failed. Nobody talks about their failures. Everybody talks about what's great and happy and glorious. They don't talk about how many phone calls they had to make before. I got 7 listings in 7 days. I'm still like telling myself, like pinching myself that doesn't happen in real estate. And last year I had 2. So, I mean, it's been hundreds and hundreds of calls to get in front of people to build my brand and my name, but it's keep doing it. And as soon as they say, I even put online, like, I only got 2 listings. Why are you guys call me all the time for advice. Why are you doing this? Well, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we didn't know you wanted us to list. I'm like, oh, now I gotta start asking the question, not just posting about it. So I wouldn't be afraid to, I don't know. You don't know them anyway. So if they don't talk to you, then move on.
Totally.
Christina, what'd you have?
Oh, I was just saying when she was talking about fasting that the second day is easier than the first. The first time I ever did a 3-day fast, I had like a really bad headache the very first day. So I just went to bed like at like 8 o'clock. And then the second day was like fine. And then the third day was a breeze. And I'm like, how on earth is this a thing? But it's so good. Like it's just a great reset. And I feel like I also was following like a nutritionist at the time, and she was telling you how to like go into the fast and that there's like a way to do it with like certain carb loading or whatever ahead of time. And then when you come out of it, you don't want to put too much into your body right away. Like it's like a small handful of nuts or juices or bone broth, you know what I mean? To like reintroduce food to your body so you don't get sick, essentially.
That's awesome. I fasted yesterday for 24 hours. I was going to do a 48-hour fast, but then I had to like update every single line of code on my Shopify store. And I was like, fuck this, I'm going to be up all night. And I broke my fast. I was like, I was about to blow a gasket. So I was like, fuck this. And I broke it. So
That's okay. That's a good time. 24 hours is a long time. So
yeah, yeah, but I'm better than that. And I'm mad at myself because
next time.
I know what you're talking about. It's just it was poor timing. So all right. A lot of good business stuff here, right? Feel free to exchange info and everything. There was a couple personal questions submitted. Does anyone else have any business stuff they would like to ask before we move on? So these are some good ones. So I know I've all talked to you about like what I consider nightmare mode to be, but the question was, is it fair to ask our partner to let us know they need some nightmare mode time? And asking from the perspective of nightmare mode comes off as abandoning, leaving, cold shouldering. So I get it from the female perspective. Maybe this is a new term. Maybe it'll take off in a couple years, whatever. But I've always called it like my nightmare mode, like when I'm absolutely ready to just lift all the weights, blast death metal, and just get a bunch of stuff done. That is like me fucking off to just be me in my own time. And I have done this when in relationships, and it wasn't something that I always communicated well. So I'd love to hear from you guys and your experience. Have you ever experienced someone who is kind of going through that quote unquote nightmare mode? What does it look like? How did you deal with that? How did you make it feel? And did they communicate that well enough for you to be able to withstand and give them time? And how did that make you feel? It's kind of my question.
Oh, I think this is a juicy question. And I feel like the term avoidant is such like a buzzword right now. However, I think like I don't have an issue when people need to like pull back and process and have their space to do whatever they have to do. But I think in a partnership, any type of partnership relationship with someone that you have close communications with, to have the emotional awareness and maturity to be able to communicate like, hey, I'm going to pull back for a sec. I need to do what I need to do. Is like, is so huge. But if that piece is missing, it can feel really triggering because you don't understand why that person is doing that. And it's just such a mirroring opportunity. And yeah, I think especially in like romantic partnerships, that can be like if someone is like has a what's it called, an anxious attachment style and the other person has an avoidant attachment style, and then it's just like can be a wild cycle. But overall I think it can be very beneficial to have that space and separate time to like process stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if, from the female perspective that you guys go through something similar. You guys are much better communicators than us men, but like I didn't communicate that well at all. All right. And when I haven't had that mode in a long time, but when I did experience bouts of that, it was because I was stressed, like at work, or just every facet of my life felt like I was putting so much effort and work into, and it was not making progress, or I was experiencing reverse progress. And that's infuriating to a guy that just wants to protect and provide and grow and advance and learn. And when you're working on a bunch of stuff and you're seeing absolute reverse efforts, it's like it feels like you're being attacked. The only way to do that is like to surrender or retreat or go into your cave and like replan for stuff. And I made that video because that nightmare mode is like that's an undefined amount of time. And men can't experience that and then be like, hey babe, I need 3 days where I'm not going to have emotions and I'm going to be fly off the handle and just not want to talk to you. Is that okay with you? Like we don't do that well.
Not a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Leslie, what you got?
I would love that if a guy said that. Like, just give me a heads up. Like, I don't care. You do your thing. That's great. Call me in 3 days or whatever. But I mean, I kind of go through spells like that, Cameron, when I get like my creative time and I just really want to focus on certain things. And I haven't communicated that, like, especially when I was married. Like, my ex really struggled with that. Um, so yeah, that's something that I'm working on. But yeah, I think it just all comes down to communication.
Yeah. Which we're not really great about. I think last time this happened to me, oh, maybe last summer, but it was like a 3-day period where I didn't want to talk to anyone. Yeah, I didn't even talk to my business partner. I was still doing work, I was still getting stuff done. I just didn't respond to like text or phone calls for like 3 days. He sent someone to my house, right? To like check in on me. Obviously, I'm still receiving phone calls. Like, it's one of those things that at that point for men, when they get there, it's too late. And it's like trying to jump in front of a speeding truck, like or a train. You're not gonna stop that. And if you try to, I don't know. It's not that we want to hurt you, but like I can only speak on my perspective because I'm the only dude here. So ask the men in your life if they go through this and what that process looks like for them. But for me, it is like I don't have emotions. My adrenaline is spiked all day. I don't want to talk. I don't want to smile. I don't want to look at anybody. And if I have to, it is like the least amount of words as possible, as cold as possible. And that is not because I'm trying to hurt someone, but like if you get too close to that, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go into the little bear cage and talk to the bears and go pet a bear. Like, no, like don't do that. So that's typically what that's like for them and what they need and maybe what the markers are when someone is getting there like that. Guys that are younger are not probably don't have the awareness yet to recognize that that is happening or to see the markers for that. And I think maybe some even older immature men don't even recognize when they're going that or the things that lead them down that road. It's something I've worked hard on the past couple years of my life. I wish I did that better in my 20s because maybe things would have worked out or not worked out. But I'm glad that I learned that lesson now. And if more women can teach that to men, say, hey, I'm recognizing something here. This is called nightmare mode or whatever you want to phrase it. Start to see that pattern and you'll be able to support the men better in your life. That
I
kind
had
of,
issues with Colby, so I recognize what you were saying, like just the shutting down and wanting to do your own thing. Um, and my buddy Chris was over working on a commercial deal with me, and I was just bugging the hell out of Colby, and I didn't, he was not acting right. This is a couple years ago, and Chris finally says, "Hey, he might just need space, and it's probably not you. He probably doesn't even know what's going on in his head because he's, at the time is 13." And I was like, "What do you mean he doesn't know what's going on in his head? Like, you guys can just think blank." And he's like, "Well, yeah, and sometimes we just have too much on our plates." So he's like, so I sat down with him, and when I used to coach people, I used to ask them, "Do you like praise like in public, behind closed doors? Do you want me to just give you a high five? Do you want a text, or do you want like a big party? What do you want?" So now I do that with him. Like, if I come to you and say, "Hey, something's off," I naturally want to fix everything. I'm your mom. That's a female's prerogative, is to want to fix and help and take care of you. I was like, but if you keep saying I'm fine, that doesn't register because you're not acting fine. You're not acting normal. You have to tell me something's going on. I don't need you to deal with it, or I'll let you know if it escalates, or I've just had a bad day. It's nothing to do with you, mom. Because as soon as he says I had a bad day, it's gonna be like, well, what did I do? Why? Because I'm selfish. But having that conversation has saved our like mother-son relationship, because he'll come in the door and be like, "I'm really pissed off. My friends are being stupid. Nothing to do with you. You don't need to fix anything." Whereas there's been a time he came in and he's like, "Mom, I'm scared shitless and I need your help now. And I need you to talk to the teachers about this." And it's like, wait, do you need me to really like roll down there and talk? Because someone's going to die. Or do I need to sit here and let you vent? And giving the options is like stopping, going, "Okay, this is what I need." And it's helped me recognize when I have conversations, tell people, "Hey, I'm getting really heated. Give me a good 20 minutes. I'm going to come right back. I'm not leaving forever, but I need to de-escalate. Otherwise, I'll push it to the point where I will burn the bridge and you will never want to come talk to me again." And just, I mean, with him specifically, it's like saved us in so many ways, but being able to identify that, or at least pay attention to his, it happened earlier today. And when he got done with his thing and he was so pissed off about winning this competition. I'm like, "You're like the top 10% in the state. How are you mad?" And he turned to me, he's like, my dad called me. I'm like, okay, I know why all the attitude's happening now. Okay, gotcha. So it was like, okay, I'll just back off. I ordered him pizza, put on his favorite show. Now he's happy as a clam. With men, usually feed them, they're fine.
I feel like the key is like you're clearly teaching him, you know, as he's growing, and that's huge. Like, I'm not saying there aren't inherent differences between men and women, because I think there really can be, but just like looking at our culture and our society, you know, and how we have raised men to be and women to be, like, men can learn how to be more communicative just like women can. And I think that's, you know, it's like a meeting point of like women, like seeing where the situation is right now. Like, obviously there's some type of divide, and like meeting each other where we are, of like, okay, I can be more understanding that this might be hard for you to communicate this way, but like you are capable of doing this, you know, and like working with each other through that. Because like oh yeah, that it can just become like, oh, I'm just gonna excuse that because you're a dude, so like fuck off. And then I get excused for doing some stupid shit because I'm a woman, like whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed too is like I like chaos. I thrive in chaos. Everything's super big. I grew up in 2 households. One had 4 kids, the other one had 7 kids. And in 7 kids, like if you were at the table when they serve food, you might have no food. So I mean, I love that. He loves peace and quiet. He's an old man. He's 17 and would have the volume at 5. And I'm like, and put subtitles on, dude. I can't hear this. And then, but I'll have the TV on, music going, and watching something on my computer. He's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, oh, I'm paying, like, I can pay attention that way. And he can't. And then realizing that, because when I was married, his dad was a single child or an only child. They were okay with just like going and chilling and self-soothing. And I'm like, no, I need to be around you all the time. And he's like, what the hell's wrong with you, lady? Like, leave me alone. I'm like, but no, you're in the house with me. Like, we got to hang out. That's what we do. That's one of the things I noticed too, is like, oh, I have friends that are only children and they're okay with just being by themselves. I'm like, you are a weirdo. We're not supposed to be by ourselves.
And then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go, Christina.
Yeah, I was gonna say my ex-husband was an only child, and yet he was like the complete opposite. So it's one of those things where like what you're teaching your son is wonderful because you're actually communicating with him, but the dynamic is also different, mother son versus like husband wife, boyfriend girlfriend. And I feel like where we struggled was like I would say, you know, I need time to like deal with whatever I'm dealing with. And he would like push me to talk. Like he for whatever reason needed to fix it right away. And I was frustrated because it was like, I'm telling you that I can't right now for whatever reason. Either I'm going to get mad or cry and I'm not ready to do that, or I don't trust you enough to do that, which is a whole nother story. But it didn't work because our communication sucked. You know, like I was trying to say I needed time and then I was taking too much time before I came back to the table, you know? So it's hard. It's one thing I've learned to do differently in the future, and obviously everybody's different, but you definitely need to say, "Hey, I need this time. I feel like that's important." He struggled quite a bit. He was diagnosed with cancer and he actually didn't talk about it. So that was hard because I didn't know what to think. And then for a lot of it, it was like me dealing with it because he wasn't voicing what he was going through.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think a lot of men suffer in silence, and I can speak as being a 17-year-old kid, right? Washing dishes in Barrington, New Hampshire at an Italian restaurant. So I like hormones are crazy, or especially for teenage boys. But when I was really stressed out or like pissed off as a kid, I would go into the woods. It would be like 7 degrees outside. I would go into the woods and I would break sticks against trees like until my hands bled because I had just so much like rage some days. Crazy, right? maybe even a psychopathic tendency. I don't fucking know. But like I did that and I look back on that and I was like, damn, that was actually really cathartic, right? And then I would come back and I would be like totally, I'd be like, fine. So
Yeah.
whatever your son needs to do, just let him do it. I think women as a whole, you guys are very good at asking for space. Men are not so good at respecting that space all the time because we think that there's a problem that we can fix. You
Mhm.
guys are just like, no, I just need space. And guys like, I don't know, that doesn't compute, right? So regardless of that nightmare mode question, right? We can talk about that for a very long time, I feel like. I want to jump into the second question that we had on the personal perspective, which is good. So advice for someone who has been chronically single their whole life, despite best efforts, who's trying to get out of the mental cycle of not being good enough talk, and I'll fail at any relationship I get into. How have you guys battled that, whether it relates to confidence or just kind of that negative self-talk? How have you guys handled that in the past, or currently, or even attempt at that in the future?
I signed up with this really good coach about a year ago. But
This
I'm still
guy?
single. Well, no, we haven't focused on that at all. No, I mean, honestly, I think that person needs to just focus on themselves and forget everything. I mean, when you stop looking for something, it comes to you, right? That's what they say. But make themselves so mentally and emotionally strong. And then, because if you're carrying that of like, I'm not good enough, you're going to carry that into that whatever relationship. And it's just going to be a perpetual cycle of not having good relationships, or you're going to attract those people that feed off of that and you weaponize it against you. What I've learned in the past year is to just focus on myself, and whatever is meant to come is going to come. But then that way I'm always making myself happy, and I'm not worried about how to make two people happy, like, or putting all my effort into somebody, pouring into somebody else and not getting anything back. Because at the end of the day, we've only got ourselves. So I don't know.
Yeah, you have to be good with yourself. Like you have to be fine with what if you don't meet anyone ever again? What if you are single for the rest of your life? Like you have to love being by yourself and create the life that you enjoy. Because if you are just waiting for someone to kind of fill that gap, you're just going to end up wasting time with people who aren't really for you, they're not aligned with you, and you're just basically going to settle.
100%.
Yeah, I just shared the Think Up app in there, and I talk about this all the time. But I had a couple relationship chats today as well, and the word platitude, the word platitudes comes up for me. I think about this often. I think platitudes are just polite attitudes when no one else really knows what to say to a situation. Oh, just focus on yourself, right? Just spend time doing the things that you want to. Time heals all wounds. I dislike platitudes, right? Being in the military and special forces, we don't have platitudes. We say what we mean what we say, and we often say it mean. I don't like being like that all the time, and I've gotten called out for, using platitudes. So I think that while those things are nice to hear, especially from the female perspective, what that actually means is like, okay, it's time to do some shadow work and like really take a look at myself. And I always walk clients through the stories that they tell themselves. So like a lot of people, you're always co-creating the present moment, and a lot of people co-create their present moment with the past in mind. This comes from advanced energy anatomy. And if you think about your past, your trauma, your failure, your regrets, things, your broken relationships, a lot of people carry that around like a fucking ship anchor and all that weight into the present moment, which makes that present moment very heavy. On an hour before this, I taught a client to have a future recorded memory. So meaning that we finally figured out what it is that she wanted, and I had her like sit down for 5 minutes and meditate to the point where she could feel, herself with her future family and her kids, and her husband and the beautiful home. And I saw her open her app and bank account, and I said, how much money do you see? All of this. So I think that when you start training yourself to have a future recorded memory, and you can physically feel the manifestation of that future recorded memory, what happens is, number one, you're releasing the past, and number two, you're training your brain to experience something so far in the future that your brain starts to reverse engineer the steps needed to get there. And that is quote unquote how you manifest but now you're changing your micro and your macro actions to what that future recorded memory feels like. Does this make sense so far?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Taking me a long fucking time to be able to coherently say it, but that's how it works. So that app that I put in there, Think Up, again, I think that they should start paying me at this point for royalties, but like I will train all of the things that I want and I write them in a future tense like they're already done, because your brain can't distinguish between an internal imagined event and your external reality. But your external reality is shaped by your internal beliefs and your internal visions. And if you're constantly bringing up the past and then projecting that into your external reality, you're just going to get more of that. So the story, right, of the person that submitted this question, if your current story is, well, why would I get into a relationship? I'm just going to fail anyway. You're just putting that pothole further down the road, in my opinion. And I did that for a very long time. I'm from Boston, from the Northeast. We're pretty negative people, but like I realized that I was constantly creating my own problems. And it wasn't until I got out of Boston for a couple of years that I was like, oh, I don't have to do this, right? I don't have to create future problems for me to solve. So I feel like I can derive some sort of purpose from it, because that's the issue that most people get into and they don't even fucking realize it. TED Talk done. Thank you for attending. But does anyone have any questions on that specifically?
Not
Okay.
questions, but you asked me that question last year, like, what do you see your life as? And I wrote down like 3 things. I'm like, I don't even know what I see my life as. And it's stuck with me the last few months. Now I have like 2 notebook pages of just like, this is exactly what I do and don't want. And like, I've gone back and like met somebody that was like kind of on the list, and I looked at it, I was like, heck no, I really don't want a guy that does that kind of job because I don't want to deal with the stress anymore, kind of thing. But like also always working it to narrow it. I don't know, just the men. And I get what you mean by platitudes. It's just an ultra nice way of saying something. But yeah,
Yeah.
if I hear you talk about Think Up one more time, I'm leaving. I'm kidding.
No, it
Yeah.
works.
I mentioned it like 5 times in the last 5 calls.
I know.
Do you do cameos? Wait, are you on the Cameo app, Cam? You should do that. You should have that link as like a paid subscription for people to order cameos from you.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, the other thing with that, so affirmations, right? The internet loves to talk about affirmations. Affirmations are great, but most people will just search an affirmation on YouTube or search something on Spotify and listen to it because we think it makes us feel good. The problem is it's somebody else's voice. So if you're taking somebody else's voice and trying to internalize that, it causes friction in your brain. Your brain rejects it ultimately because it's not your own internal voice. I believe in incantations, not as a spell thing, but like if you think about the word spelling, you're casting a spell with your words all the time.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of how I talk to myself or outwardly, and I very much don't try to say negative things about myself or even allow those thoughts to come in. If they do, I'll try and reverse it. I'll just do a complete 180 of that negative thought. That's the easiest way to handle it. But when using the Think Up app, if I write my future recorded memories or my goals or my aspirations or the things that I want to happen, I have like 400 of them at this point. I will record them in my own voice. I'll write them. They have all the different categories that you can put, from finance to health, wealth, love, abundance, all of these other things. But you can pull those in. They have hundreds of them, or you can write your own, right? Steph, I've sold 40,000 units of my device, right? Mara, I have 100 clients, whatever it is. If you write out these things, again, whether it be a relationship, a certain amount of money in your bank account, and then you record your own voice, and then you play that every single day for 30 minutes. Number one, you hear your own voice, which you internalize, and then I'll speak it out loud, mostly while I'm walking my dogs, probably looking like a crazy person at whatever time that I'm talking to myself. And then I hear it. So it goes into my brain 3 times. So one positive thing, one goal goes into my brain 3 times, however many times that it comes through in those random 30 minutes that I do. So now I'm tripling the effect of that incantation or that goal. And now I'm internalizing it into my brain, feeling it so that I'm exacting that feeling throughout my day. And then my micro and my macro actions change over time. So if I want to change my perspective on a relationship, I first have to change a story in my subconscious brain. And by changing that story in the subconscious brain, you're just rewriting that software program so that you will start looking at relationships differently. It takes a couple weeks, it takes a couple months, but over the years that I've been doing this, I've achieved, I think, 95% of the stuff was ever on that list. And if it didn't change or something looked like or something wasn't meant for me, I just gaslit myself and told me that it wasn't for me anyway. And then I changed it or I deleted it onto the next thing. Right. So I'm technically always right, always batting 1,000. But you'll notice the effect, not now, maybe not in 2 weeks or 3 months, but eventually you're going to start hearing things that you said that you forecasted that will be complete. And it is so satisfying to delete that off your list. Does that make sense? All right. Cool. Is everyone satisfied with our group call this evening?
I want to share something
Shoot.
because, oh, it was so cool. And yeah. Okay. So I had a breakthrough call with a 75-year-old woman on Monday, and she is doing the Try Dry challenge. And she's technically like my oldest client that I've ever had. And anyway, we're talking and she was like, Mara, I hope that this doesn't sound morbid, because I was like, why are you interested in like taking on this journey? And she said, I hope this doesn't sound morbid, but I want to be able to have a good death and reflect back on my life and have a full appreciation for it. And I thought I had like chills, my whole body. I was like, that is so fucking cool, because I'm like, I have a grandma who's 75 and she won't even ask me about my business because she can't fucking comprehend it. But you're 75 and you're still so open to learning and like not stuck in your own ways. And like, it was just such a aha moment of it's never too late to like grow or like be open to changing or anything like that. And yeah, I just thought it was like the most beautiful thing I've heard in a really long time. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Like I love the wisdom, and it's not often that I get to work with older people. And I think, shit, she has how many years more of life lived than I do. And it's just so valuable. So
Yeah.
That's cool.
it was really cool.
So last thing, business wise too, I shared an app called Vids in there. I know some of you guys are contemplating like social media and everything. I use that for like a lot of my reels, either for SFL or Hawaii-Fi type stuff. So check that out when you can. That stuff is dope.
You like it
But
better than CapCut?
I do, mostly because it's
Why?
an app. CapCut is good. I don't think it's as good as Vids, personally.
Have you tried?
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Shot? Oh, sorry.
I just prefer my short 6-second attention span and like 11 to 15-second reels. I'll use Vids and Mojo, right? But I've noticed when I record a video, upload it to Mojo with like captions or like taking out the pauses and the ums, it doesn't perform as well if I upload that to TikTok. Not even close. But
I use Mojo for that.
yeah,
So
that's just what I've
stop
seen.
using it.
TikTok owns CapCut, so it's gonna suppress anything that's not their product. So if you do it, so if you run it through whatever program and then put it in CapCut and then
Yeah.
feed it from CapCut to TikTok.
My brother told me to do the same thing. Like, do your own
Mhm.
video and then put it through CapCut and then load it to like YouTube or wherever.
Huh. Okay. I'm gonna try that.
CapCut and TikTok are like Instagram and Facebook. They're married.
And what does Mojo do?
I just like Mojo as well. I'll use Mojo and Vids. Spend time researching what you like with both, but I didn't know that about CapCut, and that makes
Well,
a
I
whole lot.
watched about 4 hours on YouTube of different videos on how to edit to get the like cool little words on the screen. Because some chick over here is selling her services for posting 4 videos a month for $2,000 a month. And I'm determined to show everybody that she's a freaking charlatan and stealing people's money. They're not it pissed me off. So I was going through to figure out what she's using so I can mimic it. Because if I start posting them exactly how she's posting them, and because I have trust in this community, they're gonna stop and say, "Whoa, wait, why am I paying this girl so much?" Because they're like drowning in debt now. Like, one, they're being idiots, but I was looking through YouTube to figure out what app it was, and it ended up being, it was one of the links I sent you, Cam, to say, hey, have you ever tried these? It was a couple of days ago. I'll find it. Was it captions? It was something like that. The guy ran through like 20 different styles of these apps. There's over 2,000 on the, like, what's called the App Store now that you can use. But every single video he had said, hey, CapCut is great, but just so you know, TikTok owns them. That's why they're promoted so heavily and why your other videos will get suppressed. It's like, oh, that's crazy that they could even track where it was made, but that's why I'm married.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm probably not going to do that because I'll just my content will go to the right people. I've always believed that, and that's on my Think Up app, and I'm not willing to give that one up. So, yeah, I appreciate all of you guys for hopping on. I know we're a little bit late, so have a good rest of your evening. I appreciate all your guys' support. And then if you have one-on-one questions, shoot me a text, DM, whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to editing for like hours. So I'll see you guys and talk to you guys tomorrow.
Have fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Guys, have a good night.
Thanks.